You have reached the Connecticut State Police Troop D in Danielson. All calls are recorded. If this is an emergency, please hang up and dial 911. The fax number is 860-779-4904. To obtain a police report or reach the clerk's office, please press 1. To speak with the evidence officer, please press 2. For fingerprinting information, please press 3. To speak with a trooper or deskman, please press 4.
State Police, Trooper Manbeck.
Hi, Mr. Manbeck, you said?
Manbeck.
Manbeck? I'm sorry. This phone connection's a little funny sometimes. Pleasure to speak with you this afternoon, sir. Hey, listen, I just got a quick question. In the automated greeting here on the line, it says to press 1 for a copy of police reports. I was a little perplexed by that because in my experience with you guys, I'm always forwarded down to State Police Headquarters in Middletown for records. So I'm wondering if you can clarify the automated message that greets me when I call.
I've never heard it myself, so I'm surprised myself from what I've always been told, and I've been here for 16 years. The only reports we hand out here are accident reports, and everything else goes to reports and records.
Yeah. Well, just for your own insight, the law actually states that if you have any kind of records in-house in that building, you're required to share them with the public upon request. So, I mean, whether it's an accident report or it's internal records on an officer's accommodations or disciplinaries, all that stuff is public information. So maybe you guys...
Probably why we don't keep anything here and it's all electronic now.
Oh, excellent, yeah. Yeah, well, maybe we ought to get that automated message updated so it doesn't mislead the people, because it was very perplexing. Aside from that, the reason why I'm calling is... there was an incident that took place up in the North Windham Chaplain area on October the 15th, right around midnight. I think this was Saturday. Right around midnight, there was a drunk driver who drove his car into like a marsh or he went off the road one way or another. And this individual has been convicted of DUIs in the past and actually had a breathalyzer thing attached to the vehicle that would prohibit him from operating that vehicle under the influence of alcohol. He had removed that device and ultimately crashed his vehicle. And one of your state troopers didn't charge him with a DUI, got his car towed, and then ultimately gave him a ride to somebody's house in which he assaulted the homeowners and then drummed up a false police report and said that they attempted to stab him when ultimately all they really did was throw him out of the house after he raised hell all day. Being angered about not being able to get his car out of the impound because you guys, put a hold on it because of his criminal activities associated with it. But you failed to charge him with a DUI, and that led to a number of other events that transpired, which creates a tremendous liability. Now, the reason why I'm calling, is I want that officer's name so that I can go down to Middletown tomorrow, pull all of his body cam footage, pull all of his police reports on this incident, and begin holding him accountable to the letter of our laws, because an innocent family has been turned upside down due to the false police reports that have ultimately come out of this man's negligence and failure to properly arrest a drunk driver who he ultimately taxied over to a victim's house. It's a very set of egregious circumstances, and the people are very pissed off. So I'm going to be the journalist that's going to be publicizing all of this information, and I'm wondering if you can just give me that preliminary information. I need that officer's name, and I need his badge number so that I can begin conducting my Freedom of Information Act requests and investigating his negligence.
You said October 15th.
Yeah, it was right around midnight. It's an incident on the North Windham Chaplain line. And I believe the man's car is still in the impound lot over at, T&B Automotive or T&B Towing, whatever that place is. And while you're doing that, I just got to thank you. Usually I get hung up on by this point. You sound very nice. You sound very pleasant. and being that you're a veteran of over a decade, I find that kind of surprising because usually it's the guys that have been in for a longer time that are more bombastic and
disgruntled and sick of putting up with people's baloney. Yeah, no, I get it.
right.
You
But you would agree, I'm not full of baloney here. I am doing a legitimate job.
I don't know the circumstances, and I'm not going to speak on something I don't know about. If that's what happened, I would agree it's wrong. I don't know enough about it to speak intelligently about it at this point, so I'm not going to.
Right. Well, I can assure you, I've seen the video documentation of it. In fact, I had a colleague there live on scene at the gas station where 8 of the troopers were basically conspiring with one another and taking that false police report from the suspects who have turned themselves into victims somehow with the assistance of these troopers of yours who should have arrested them to begin with a DUI. Instead of giving him a ride. It's insane. There's a lot of speculation online and around Connecticut right now that the individual wasn't arrested and charged with a DUI because he's potentially a police informant. We've seen cases in the past where informants are allowed to do whatever the hell they want, and the police effectively cover it all up. So I would hope
I've never seen that happen in my career, but I mean, if that's what people say or believe, then that's on them. I mean,
I understand.
Everybody's got.
I understand.
It is what it is.
Hey, God bless you God bless you. Thank you for being so kind and professional with me. I appreciate it, and I appreciate your service to the people. Your dutiful service to the people. Presumably, you want
more short years. I can't wait to be done with it.
I bet. I mean, but we could use your help.
The job's so undesirable that it's just not worth doing. So.
We could.
It'll be really sad and interesting to see how things go in the future.
Well, really, what the state needs is sheriffs. Constitutional sheriffs were disbanded in the state of Connecticut in 2000, and since that time, the foxes have been running the hen house. I've heard from a state police officer who I was interviewing under anonymity that that state police officer who was swept away in the floodwaters about 6 months ago during those floods earlier in the year, he was actually sleeping in his cruiser when he was swept away, and he was collecting overtime while he was sleeping in that cruiser, and that's a very common sort of behavior of the state police from what I've gathered in that interview under anonymity. So, I mean, there's a great set of, there's a tremendous level of truth to be had by the people. And I'm a government accountability activist that makes a living disseminating that truth and these matters of public interest to the public as professionally as I can. I'm often ridiculed and blamed for the disconnect that I would respectfully say, I'm not going to say you're a part of it, but in general, the police actually manufacture themselves. They're their own worst enemies.
Well, it's true for everybody, though, right? Not just
well, yeah. There
everybody.
are protagonists out there who are trying to provoke negative responses from police and then hold them accountable for that. I'm not that guy. I give everybody a fair shake. I'm all about transparency, accountability, and of course, when appropriate, liability on all sides of the equation. If someone's given the police a false report, that's a crime, and I'm all for the police going to charge that individual with that crime. If a police officer uses unnecessary force and can't justify it, that's a crime. Or if they conduct a false arrest and deprive a citizen of their rights, that's a crime. So, I just report what is happening. I don't take sides, and I don't hate the police, and I'm often portrayed and mocked as someone who hates police. It's my fault that you're sick of your job. It's my fault that the police want to quit. And it's not. It's not my fault. All I'm doing is holding the camera and showing everybody what you guys are doing. It won't be my fault when this guy gets charged and goes before a federal grand jury for allowing this to happen. And that's ultimately what's going to happen with this trooper there in this barracks, Troop D.
Do you know which road this happened at? What road it was on?
I don't. I know it happened somewhere between North Windham and Chaplin. And then the officer gave the individual a ride to a residence in Chaplin. And then later, the next day, at 9:30 in the morning, I believe, this was Friday night into Saturday morning, the call came in right around midnight for the accident. And then on that Saturday night, or we'll say morning because it's after midnight, he was dropped off.
And I'm going to check on Friday night and see because I'm not seeing a whole lot for.
Okay, yeah, maybe check late Friday night, somewhere between 11 and midnight. A trooper from this barracks responded to an accident somewhere in either North Windham or Chaplin or right on that line somewhere, and then ultimately gave this guy a ride up Route 6 in Chaplin and dropped him off at a house where on Saturday all hell broke loose.
What was the address of the house? Maybe I can find it that way.
Oof, I don't know. That's I don't have any reports yet. I have to conduct a FOIA request.
Well, okay.
You know, the
It
police
sounds
won't
like you
give me
know a
that.
lot more about this than I do, obviously. And
Well, it's because
so
my
I'm just
colleague
thinking
has
to myself,
documented some things. I could get that address and call you back. Would I be able to reach you on a direct line, or would I get somebody else if I call you back?
It could be me. It could be somebody else. I'm looking through, and let me try to do a search by town. Because, I mean, I'm curious what you're referring to now, because there's two sides to every story.
Oh, exactly, right. And I got to see, one of the things I got to do, the modus operandi of a good professional journalist is to trust, but then verify, right? I got to verify the information, which is why I spend a lot of time on the phone with police and
Sure.
in records departments and things. And I've been arrested illegally just doing this First Amendment protected, constitutionally protected activity. I've been harassed by the state police. I've been illegally detained. My First Amendments have all been violated. There's deprivation of rights under the color of law cases that I could have brought up 17 times already against police all across this state. And I don't want to hurt the police, so I haven't filed those cases yet. There are some cases I am going to follow through on. This is definitely one that I'm trying to help a family with because their whole life has been turned upside down. It's like the first person who calls the police and makes up a story in the equation with police is always going to be, protected by the police. So basically, this guy.
That I can say that with certainty. That's not true because I've made the comment many times to people. Just because you're the one who's called us doesn't mean that you're right. We're neutral in this equation, and we have to hear both sides of the story.
Boy, I wish you were the officer on scene because we have on video witnesses trying to address your officers and inform them of what really happened to correct the false statements given by the person who called, and the troopers didn't want to hear anything from the witness. They didn't want to take his statements. They just wanted to run with their narrative and their story, which came 100% from one side. And we've got video documentation of it. Now, while you're the one on scene, you may be the professional officer and get both sides. And that's what we need. That's what we want. But the 8 cops that were at that gas station in Chaplin, they didn't do their job. They took one side and they ran with it. And that's why an innocent family is in jail. They called DCF on their kids. Well, guess what? DCF didn't take their kids. That says a lot right there. So, I mean, it looks a lot like there's going to be hell to pay.
Not necessarily. I mean, for what it's worth, just to put that in perspective, just because DCF is called doesn't mean the kids get taken. We make hundreds of DCF referrals based on state statute being mandated reporters probably every month, and not every case gets investigated because that's just the nature of the beast.
Well, yeah, I understand that. That's a very accurate and fair statement.
So when I run Chaplin for those 2 days, there's a patrol check, administrative services, a traffic accident, 2 assist citizens. And I'm not seeing anything that fits the bill about what you are exactly referring to.
Let me see if I can get some more information.
If you were to get the address, I might be able to look it up by the address of where this allegedly took place. That might make it easier. But based on what I'm working with so far, I'm not finding a whole lot that sounds anything remotely close by to what you're describing.
Okay. I'm going to call my colleague and see if I can't get some more information. I'd love to be able to reconnect with you when I call back. It'll probably be within the next 20 minutes. Just because if I call back and I get somebody else on the phone, then I got to re-explain everything and blah, blah, blah. And they may not. I would suspect they're likely not going to be nearly as professional and as kind as you have been with me today. So I would very much appreciate being able to get a hold of you directly so that we can wrap this up and I can get the information I need to move forward.
Anything's possible, but there's no direct line to me. It's going to be a little bit
right. Well, what is your name again? And I'm sorry for butchering it twice. I'm going to listen very carefully this time. Maybe you could spell it for me.
It's Manbeck.
Manbeck. B-E-C-K?
B-E-C-K.
Excellent.
Yes,
Manbeck. All right. Hey, Mr. Manbeck, thank you so much. God bless you and yours. Please be safe out there. I'm so sorry that you feel the way you do about being a police officer. I hope you make it the next 4 years without
I'll
any
make it.
worries.
It's a good job, and it has, it is what it is. It's just you can only deal with other people's problems for so long.
I would love to talk with you sometime. I mean, being in the force for 16 years, I know you must have some stories that you can share that would possibly help bridge the gap between the people and the police. Whether you're, I would love to be able to sit down with you and your PIO and discuss an opportunity that you know of where a whistleblower could have stepped up, but they didn't. Where a good cop is partnered with a bad cop, and he was.
We don't have partners. That's the thing. We ride alone, and at the end of the day, I don't see any of what people say. I don't see all the negative things. I just see us doing the best we can with what we have to work with.
Okay.
So I don't think I'm the guy that you're looking for in that respect.
Okay.
But I appreciate that, and if you give me an address, I might be able to find something, or at least point you and give you a case number for reference that you can.
Perfect. That's all I need. You got it. Thank you so much.
Aside from that, all right.
I'll talk to you. I hope to talk to you soon. Have a good day, Mr. Manbeck.